Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, March 16th, 2026. So we start this episode in the nail salon with Portia and Jordan, and Portia gave everything she needed to give. And I'm so pleased with today's episode. So they're in the nail salon, and Portia is making a joke. And, you know, last week she's making a joke about, you're not pregnant, are you? And she's like, you got to be kidding me. And then she was like, it's none of your business. You need to mind your business. The same business you minded when it was me in this predicament? Like, really? Are you freaking kidding me? You're joking, right? And Portia was like, you're a hypocrite. But unlike you, I'm not going to run to Curtis because it's, first of all, I'm not in your, in I'm just kidding. I'm like about to explode because y'all can say what y'all want to say about Portia and all the wrong that she has supposedly done. However, she doesn't go around intentionally bothering people. And y'all can say she stole Curtis from Jordan. That never happened. That never happened then, and it ain't happening now. Because she could have carried herself over there to tell him if she wanted to. But why? That don't got nothing to do with me. It affects me in no way, shape, or form that you're having his baby and not telling him about it. That's a Jordan thing. She set out to um ruin Curtis and Portia's marriage because she wanted to take it back because she perceived it as Portia taking Curtis from him. So far from her. So she wanted to go get some get back from Portia. Y'all keep putting that on Portia. That ain't Portia thing. And I love that she got the last word and got to walk out the nail salon. And then she goes to the hospital and she's talking to Isaiah. And Isaiah is like, are you jealous? She's like, no, I don't care about that. I could go run to Curtis and I want to, but I'm not going to do that. We finally getting along. Yeah, they're finally at peace. They're not fighting anymore. They've settled all of the matters that they needed to settle. What is the point of her going around starting, like she said, unnecessary drama? That's not what she needs to be doing. She needs to be worrying about bringing her baby into the world. So then Stella calls Jordan and asks Jordan to come to the hospital. And Jordan has this sob story about, oh, I have one kidney and it's a transplant. And, this pregnancy was going to be extra super high risk. I just saw someone on Twitter that says, um, um, something on Twitter that just said this whole Jordan baby kidney thing is reminding me of a movie, Still Magnolias, which happens to be my mom's favorite movie. And this is what else said. Let it play all the way out because you know what happened at the end of that movie, right? The lady with the kidney and the baby, she died. But anyway, sorry. But yeah, so she goes to take the pregnancy test, and I guess we're gonna figure out tomorrow what the test results may be or whatever the case may be. Um, and Curtis is at Jordan's house or their house now, and Trina comes over, and he tells her that she's living there, and then they talk about how she feels sad about and a little jealous of the time that the new baby will have with Curtis that she didn't get. And Curtis was like, I got more than enough love to go around for both of my children and all of that. So yeah. Then there is Jacinda and Michael, and they are at the gatehouse, and they're just talking, and one thing leads to another because they're grown. Just in case some people forgot. And they end up in front of the fireplace, and you know, clothes tend to melt away in the gatehouse. And, Olivia comes out looking for Leo's retainer, and when she comes out, she basically gets an eye full of a naked Jacinda. And she's like, the kids, Leo was coming down, or your son could have came, blah blah blah, yelling and scolding Michael like he's a teenager. And Michael's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Next time I'll lock the door. That was funny to me. He was like, next time I'll lock the door. And she was like, that is not a good solution. And your extracurriculars. And I'm like, okay, girl, he is a grown man. Like, it could have been him and Willow when they were still married and the kids could have walked in. I mean, things happen. Kids walk in on their parents disgustingly enough, but I mean, ish happens. What can you say? And then we have Molly and Cody, and Molly and Cody have a serious conversation about Molly's endometriosis and what that means. And Molly tells him that she's not able to have children and she doesn't want to adopt and she doesn't want to go through surrogacy. And Cody says, I never like longed or dreamed about having children. That wasn't, my thing. So if I don't have children, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I want you. You are enough for me. And I like that. I just still don't think that that's necessarily why TJ and Molly broke up, but I digress. But I like that for Molly, even though they bore me to tears. I like that, she got to feel affirmed and, not, she didn't feel bad, with revealing that. Like, it was a positive conversation. I like that for her. Then there's Laura and Ezra. Laura and Ezra are in her office and they're talking, and Ezra is saying that Sidwell is wanting you to put through a new ordinance, and they're going back and forth about the ordinance. And then Martin comes over and he's like, is he bothering you? And she's like, no, we were just talking. And then Tracy comes and she done fell off her horse because of the new ordinance, because the plane that was flying over spooked her horse, I believe, because I was too I am back to work today for the first time this year. So I was kind of working and watching GH at the same time. So I'm not exactly clear on this portion, but I think the plane spooked Tracy's horse and she fell off her horse. And she's like, what is going on? And they're telling her about the ordinance, and she's like, wait, this is a bribe. And it's so funny because I'm back at work and I was doing a training on bribery. So it's kind of funny to me that they were talking about this is a bribe, and you know she's going to go to a judge and speak with the judge about it. And then Ezra is like, Sitwell isn't going to be happy about this. And Laura's like, I'm starting to care less and less, bro. And yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I would feel if I was Laura, because y'all keep doing this stuff. But yeah, I'm the mayor, but this a whole town of people that's gonna have problems with this. Not just me. Have problems with me. They're gonna have, like, the quartermains of it all. Yeah, they're gonna want to fight. And so anyway, then there's Sunny and Jason, and Sunny and Jason are talking because Jason is like, Britt's situation has got dire, and we're gonna have to go out on the run. And then they're talking about potentially offing Sidwell and Cullum and pinning it on Jack. That's funny to me. And yeah, so he's like, how long you gonna be gone? And he was like, I don't know, a month, maybe two. But he was like, well, what if you're not able to get the medicine replicated or whatever? And he's like, I don't even want to think like that, because what's going to happen if they can't? But yeah, that was General Hospital for today. I enjoyed today's episode. I was not angry at all. Um, but let me know in the comments what you thought about today's episode and what y'all think about Jordan and her nerve and audacity, because she has plenty. Mind your business. Did you mind mine? Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, March 17th, 2026. So we start this episode with Sunny and Diane. They're signing paperwork and, conducting business. And, she starts to bring up some other paperwork that she's working on for him. And he tells her that, she need not worry about it because um, he got someone else to handle it. And she's like, am I being fired? And he basically tells her that, she's going to handle some things and Rick is going to handle other things. And she's like, Rick, because everybody knows the history between Sunny and Rick and it ain't good. And them working together is only a matter of time before it goes left. But he basically tells her, yeah, Rick's going to be handling some things and I care about you and I need you and I'm going to keep you on retainer or whatever the case may be. So then we have at the PC Grill, we have Rick and Alexis, and Rick is trying to talk to Alexis because he's saying that her having him in her basement changed him. And she like, you trying to entrap me? She was like, give me your phone. So she took his phone and she sat on it and told him to lower his voice and then say what he had to say. Those two are funny. I actually love the antics between Rick Hurst and um Nancy. They work well off of one another. It's so funny to me. And so anyway, they're going back and forth and then Liz arrives and a little bit later because Alexis was waiting for Diane and Diane comes and they're each talking about the relationship between Rick and Sunny. He's talking about that relationship with Elizabeth, and Diane and Alexis are talking about Rick and Sunny's relationship. And then Diane and Alexis make a joke because Diane was like, well, he won't come crawling back to me and I'm going to charge him double. And then Alexis was like, I was thinking triple. They're so silly. But then we have Trina and the crew is Trina Kai, Gio and Emma, and they're all hanging out. And Jocelyn comes into the Brown Dog and she sees them. And it's kind of like she feels the separation that is between her and her friends now because she's living a whole different life. She living that WSB life, girl. You might as well get used to it because that's your life from now on. And so she goes and she's, we know that Brennan told her that she needs to go back to being a college student. So she's trying to like re-enter the group. And she's like, I hope to see you all, more around campus, blah, blah, blah. And the in comes Cullum and Brennan. And then she's like, oh, I got to go. And then Trina was like, well, let me walk you out then. Cause, we homegirls. Let me walk you out. And so she's trying to walk her out. And when she's walking her out, they run into Cullum and he keeps talking to her. And she was like, yeah, we talking about spring break. And Trina looking like, what spring break we talking about? And so anyway, um, he goes away and Trina's like, who is that? And she was like, this guy I keep running into. So then every time he comes around, I keep trying to act like a ditzy college kid. And she's like, oh, do you need me to get him thrown out? Because me and Kai will. And she's like, no, it's cool. And it's just Joss has completely drink she's completely taken in the WSB like identity, and it is not going to yield her what she think it is. Meanwhile, we have Stella, and I have a huge problem with this whole episode because of this. We have Stella coming in basically hot, telling Portia that she needs to let go of the her feelings towards Jordan and basically saying you the reason that the marriage ended, and we're rewriting history because yes, she lied about Trina. Yes, 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 yes. How many times we gonna say it? How many times she gonna take responsibility for it? I'm tired of hearing it. If you was gonna leave her, you should have left her back then. That does not change the fact that Curtis, everything Portia said to Stella was true. Curtis, Jordan inserted herself. And the thing I have a problem with the messenger of this because Stella did this same thing when Curtis and Jordan were breaking up. For as far as Portia was concerned, Curtis and Jordan had signed the divorce papers and they were done. And then things started with them. They had that one kiss at the Savoy, and then, the whole hostage situation took place. All of that happened after Curtis and Jordan signed the divorce papers that, might I add, meddling Stella, stole. And if she came to Portia, you need to stay out there, marriage, because blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And her and Portia got in an argument that day at GH where Trina overheard. And this is the same thing. This is the same thing. But yet again, she's talking to Portia. Portia was married to them. As a matter of fact, I think they're still married. Matter of fact, why the hell does Curtis still have on the ring? I'm so livid. Like, don't be trying to act like Portia is the problem. And then Jordan trying to use Portia to make herself look good. Yeah, Portia knew, but she said she wasn't gonna run and tell you. She's a good woman, Curtis. She's gonna be a great mother to your child. Bitch, fuck you. And I'm sorry, my mama's gonna watch this, and I couldn't help it. I just had to get it out because I can't stand her, and I can't stand this writing. Don't try and gaslight me. But anyway, Jordan ain't pregnant, but we never saw the pregnancy test. And I just want to point out when Portia found out she was pregnant, we saw the positive pregnancy test. And also when the paternity test, because people keep hollering that, oh, somebody tampered with the test was done so quick, it couldn't be tampered with. No one had a chance to tamper with it. The test wasn't tampered with, and Portia gave the results to Baldy when she had the results. So he saw the results, and we saw the pregnancy test. We didn't see Jordan pregnancy test. I guarantee you, she's lying. Mark my words, and we're gonna revisit this. She's lying, and she's going to go have the abortion. She just didn't want to go through all of that with Curtis. Anyway, and then we had Carly and Valentine. So she comes in the house and Valentine's downstairs and he's like, I just want to know, was this an accident, or do you have any regrets? And she's like, no, I don't have no regrets. And he goes back upstairs and Sunny comes over and she's like, look, Sunny, Jocelyn and I are beefing right now, and she got issues with you, and therefore she got issues with me, and so it's best that you just steer clear right now. And Sunny was like, yeah, whatever. It's whatever. Whatever you need. I'm always gonna be Team Carly, whatevs. And so while they're talking or whatever, Jocelyn pulls up to the house and she sees her in there with with Sunny, and she comes in hot, talking crazy, cussing at her mama. Like, I'm like, girl, like, I don't know what's gotten in to you and Trina, but y'all need to bring it all the way down. And meanwhile, back when they were at the bar, Trina told her, you need to go talk to your mom. It made me feel better, blah, blah, blah. She went over there. She wasn't trying to feel better. She's still coming in hot with Carly. And Sunny looking at like, what the heck? Sunny was like, yo, you in your mom's house. You got to be respectful. I love it. Sunny, I know that he's supposed to be a villain, but I love me some Sunny. Sorry. But yeah, that was GH for today. I'm so sick of the writers trying to gaslight me. Like, we don't know what happened. Like, we don't know that if we're being honest, Curtis and Jordan bear the brunt of what happened to that marriage. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, March 18th, 2026. So, this episode we start at the Q Mansion. Brooklyn and Chase are discussing the baby, which they have named Phoebe. They're discussing Phoebe, and Brooklyn is asking Chase if the police have been able to locate Delilah's family, and he said they have a lead. They're getting close, but they haven't, just yet. And, Brooklyn expresses concern that she hopes that they're able to find Delilah's family before Phoebe is ready to be released from the hospital. And he says, if not, then she'll go into foster care. And Brooklyn says that she would rather that they take care of Phoebe. So they want to try and get certified to be able to take her in if Delilah's family isn't found by the time it's time for Phoebe to be released. And Chase is on board with this, and they're excited about the possibility of being able to take care of Phoebe. The synopsis for this episode said that they were going to have some romance. Was the romance in the room with us? That's the second time this week the synopsis drastically failed. And it happens a lot with GH, but this is the second time this week that the synopsis has drastically failed to do what it said. Because yesterday they said something, and I'm like, I had to ask someone. I asked my friend, and I was like, did that happen? And she was like, it wasn't in the room with us. And I was like, oh, okay, because I thought I missed it. But anyway, then we have Lulu and Nathan. They were having their date, but um, Lulu Nathan had James with him. Maxie, you ain't slick, girl. But he had James with him, and then James is all rambunctious or whatever, so he came over spilling stuff, knocking stuff over, spilling water on phones, and then Lou forgot the chicken was in the oven, and the house almost caught on fire. Then they ended up having to go have pizza. Then he was like, "Can you call my grandparents so they can come get me?" Like, it was just crazy, like the date from hell. But then, they were calling it a night, and then she was headed upstairs and he had left, but then he turned around, he was about to knock on the door, and she opened the door back. Then he swept her off her feet and took her upstairs. Now I know y'all gonna be like, now girl, make up your mind. My mind is made up. I wanted Maxie to choose Spinelli, and I didn't want her to kick Spinelli to the curb just because Nathan returned. Like, you had built a life, and this was the life that you were living, you know, whatever. And I'm fine with her decision. But it's just like, do they really got something like serious going on, or do they just want to sleep together? Like, okay, I'm gonna mind my business. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Let them people do what they do. Okay. All right. Anyway, we have Liz and Rick, and they're on a date, and Rick is basically telling Liz that he wants to try again at a relationship with her, and he wants to get serious or whatever. And it even gets to the point where he is about to tell her where he was when he was gone for that month. And he was like, it was a situation with Ava and Alexis, and she was like, wait a minute, like, is this gonna interfere in our relationship in any way? Is this resolved? And he was like, it's resolved or whatever. I just wanted you to tell you. And she was like, I don't need to know no more. Yeah, stay out of that, because that situation is crazy. I don't fully trust Rick, and I feel like he's up to something, especially he's befriending Sunny now. Like, you don't like your brother, but okay, we gonna go with it for as long as it lasts. Because I don't trust Rick. I don't. But I don't think that he wants to hurt Liz or get her caught up in any foolishness. But I don't trust them, y'all. I'm sorry. I just don't. Then we have Marco and Cullum. Marco is there trying to get a vial of Brit's medicine so that she can give it to them so that they can have it reverse engineered. But he gets caught by Cullum and he tells Cullum some lie about it's his day to give Brit her medicine. He's like, Brit's gone for the day. And then he says, oh, and Pascal gave her her medicine earlier. So he's like, oh, it was a miscommunication. I'm sorry. And he leaves. We see Cullum calls Pascal and was like, y'all need to get on the same page about the medication. And we don't hear what Pascal says, but he basically was like, I talked to him this afternoon and it was clear, basically. And so now Cullum is suspicious of Marco. Meanwhile, Britt and Brad meet at the Brown Dog and they're talking and she's telling him that she's about to leave town and he was like, what are you going to do about your medication? She was like, she tells him that Lucas is helping her get her medication. He's like, why is Lucas helping you? He doesn't even like you. And she was like, well, he knows that Marco's dad is blackmailing me, so he wants to help. And he was like, well, I'm glad that he's helping you. And then he says that he knew ever since he saw them together in Miami that Marco was up to something. But Lucas is dumb. I'm sorry. I just have to say it because he believes whatever he says. He thinks with his heart and he doesn't use his brain, and that may be fatal to him. I'm sorry. It is what it is. So, Brad even know. Well, Brad is a criminal. He should know. One, he know his people when he see them. It takes one to know one. Like, you can't play a player. Like, it's it's yeah. So Brad would know, but he's like, well, I'm gonna, not gonna make no noise about it because he's helping you, and that we're grateful that he's helping you. But then there goes the part where she's running away with Jason, and he's like, Jason is never gonna choose you, and he keeps saying it over and over and over again. And so when he says this, he's mad and he said, I'm not going to sit here and watch you make this mistake. And he gets up and he leaves. And Britt is just standing there like, what? Because she trusts that because Jason told her this, she knows that, and anyone knows if you know Jason, if he tells you something, Jason's going to stand by what he told you. So she's trusting what Jason is telling her. But Brad's like, he's out. Meanwhile, Danny is at home with Jason making a Scooby Doo sandwich. And Jason is basically telling him that he's going to leave. And, Danny at one point asked Jason, like, can I come with you? And he's like, no, you have school and I'm not taking you on the run. And he wants to go on the run like Charlotte goes on the run with her dad. But yeah, it's not that kind of, it's too dangerous for him to go. And he tells him, if I don't come back, I've arranged everything so that you go live with your grandmother, Alexis, and, Tracy and Michael, they're going to help out too. And Carly, she'll do anything for you. And then Danny asked him to come to his basketball game. He said he don't know if he's playing. He might be riding the bench. And Jason told him he will be there. But that was GH. Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, March 19th, 2026. So in this episode, we start with Lulu and Nathan. It's the morning after, and they're basking in the afterglow of their night together. And I guess Nathan is leaving to go to work or whatever, and there's a knock at the door, and they go to the door, and it's Cullum, and he's wanting to speak to Charlotte to see if Charlotte has heard from Valentine. And the problem is Lulu is tired of the WSB showing up at her door asking questions about Valentine, because y'all are the agency looking for him. Go find him. And Nathan, because he is a detective, which I don't trust Nathan, I still have a weird feeling about him. Yeah, the whole popping up out of the blue and not remembering what happened to you really doesn't set right with me. So I look at him with a side eye constantly. But he tells Cullum that, Charlotte's basically been under surveillance, 24-hour surveillance. And if anything would have happened, they would have seen it. Even though we know that Charlotte has very well been in contact with Valentine, knows where Valentine is and everything. But she grew up in this life. She is not new to this. She true to this. And getting it out of Charlotte is going to be pretty impossible. Y'all gonna have to figure out another way. And then we have Alexis and Tracy. They're meeting at the Metro Court, and Tracy is getting blown up by Olivia because Olivia wants to have a family meeting. Is she meeting about what happened with Michael and Jacinda the other day in the gatehouse? That man is grown. Like, get over it. Like, I know there's a lot of kids in the house and the kids have been playing in the gatehouse, but girl, you gotta choose your battles in this same one. But anyway, Alexis and Tracy are talking about, what to do with Danny should the need arise. And Alexis is like, he needs to come live with me. Tracy's like, no, he needs to stay at the Quartermains because the Quartermains know Quartermains, and we are best equipped to be able to handle, because Danny can be a little wild and rambunctious, and he is easy to get in trouble. But um Alexis is like, I can handle it. And then Tracy's like, but you've raised girls. He's a boy and it's different. I raise boys. And then Alexis is like, did you raise your kids or did nannies raise them? And they're going back and forth. And at the end, Alexis is like, well, he's talking with Diane about it. And whatever decision he makes, we are going to have to accept it, which we already know. He stated that he told Danny yesterday that if something were to happen to him, he's going to have to go live with Alexis. And then we have Lucas and Ava. Lucas goes to meet with, excuse me, Ava goes to meet with Lucas at the hospital, and she's basically telling him to be careful with Carly because she feels like Carly may have ulterior motives and be trying to break him and Marco up for good. And he's like, look, I don't want to have like separate conversations. I want us to be able to talk about anything. But like, if you gonna be talking about my sister, like, maybe don't do that. He was like, I will take what you said under advisement, but let's keep this cute. Meanwhile, Ava goes and she ends up meeting with Sidwell, and she basically makes her concerns known to Sidwell as well about Carly. Then we have Carly and Jack. at Carly's house, and Carly is upset because of the things going on between her and Jocelyn. And she's alluding to how people lie, and if you are lying to someone you love, then you may not love them as much as you think you do. And he's sitting there and he's looking stupid. Like, it's written all over his face that, yes, I'm lying to you, but I can't tell you more. And it's kind of written all over Carly that I know that you're lying to me, but I can't say anything. And it's getting real sticky around there. Carly leaves after Jack leaves, and she goes to the Metro Court because she owns it. And she sees Sidwell and Ava talking, and she comes over and she's like, "Well, we were planning that dinner party. We should get that on the calendar," she says to Sidwell. "How about Friday?" And Sidwell looks at Ava, and Ava looked back at him, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do that." This isn't good. This isn't good at all. And so then we have Britt and Jocelyn. Britt is packing up, getting ready to go, and Jocelyn comes up to her window, and she's basically asking Britt to not implicate her as a WSB agent to Cullum so that she can protect her mom, which, saying that you're trying to protect Carly from being heartbroken if you die does nothing for Britt, because Britt don't care about Carly. Like, and the feeling is mutual, but like, if anything, she gonna give you up before anything. Like, I don't know. This is all bad. I have bad feelings about everything that's going on right now. Horrible feelings. Then we have Pascal. He's telling Sidwell that Lucas is a problem, and Sidwell snaps and was like, "Your crush on Marco." And I'm like, "Oh, so that's who he had the crush on." Because I knew somebody was crushing somewhere. And that's why Pascal was breathing down their necks. But he was like, your crush on Sidwell, excuse me, your crush on Marco is getting out of hand. And, he basically dismissed him. But in the grand scheme of things, Mark Sidwell should have listened to Pascal because he's not wrong. So, you know, after he scolds Pascal, Marco comes in with some paperwork for Sidwell to sign, and he's talking to his son, and he dismisses Pascal, and then he says, they're talking about paperwork or whatever, and then Sidwell was like, "Oh well, now I gotta go meet a lady at the Metro Court," talking about Ava. "You want to go with me?" He's like, "No, I'll stay behind." He stays behind, and he actually gets into the safe, and he gets 2 vials of the medication that Britt needs in order to have her medication re-engineered so she can go on the run. But they're stupid because I don't know why they didn't even at least get some replacement vials to go into the place, because as soon as he leaves with the 2 vials, here comes Pascal checking the safe and see that they're missing, because he knew that Cullum put 6 in there. So he calls Cullum and is like, "You put 6 in there, right?" "Well, it's only 4 in there now." This is bad. This is bad. Anyway, so then Marco goes to the hospital, gives Lucas the medication, and says, "Go get this Brit right away." Is he even going to ever make it to Brit? This is bad. This is really, really bad. And then Cullum and Jack end up talking. They're at the WSB and they're talking, but Jason is on the rooftop with his gun about to take Cullum out. But Jason been in his head the whole episode, thinking about Danny, Carly, thinking about everything. I think Jason, who doesn't miss, is about to miss. I don't know what's happening, but I'm stressed out That was General Hospital for today. Let me know what you all thought in the comments, and I will be back here to close out the week tomorrow. And tomorrow is also the day before my birthday. Yay! Hey guys, let's talk General Hospital for today, March 20th, 2026. So we have Brennan and Cullum. They're at the WSB and they're talking, and Jason is on the roof with his sniper on. And when he's watching them, and we see him have the gun, the untrained on Cullum, and then he has it trained on Brennan, but then he puts it back on Cullum, but then Brennan walks in front of Cullum, so he doesn't have a clear shot, so he doesn't take the shot, and ultimately he doesn't, and he ends up leaving the roof, and he goes to the school to see Danny's basketball game, and when he does, he's in the parking lot, and he gets stopped by Alexis, who is asking him, if he when he makes his decision, if he could make it in her favor, because she thinks that she's the best place for Danny to go because it's a little chaotic and dramatic at the Quartermaines. And, she's like, we saw she ends up having a conversation before she goes to the game. She has a conversation with Suzanne, and she's like, she feels like kind of like she let Sam down. She's not protecting her kids like she should. And, Suzanne was like, oh, um, Suzanne is like, oh, um, Scout should be living with you because we all know that Willow took her back. And um, she was like, yeah. And so this is why she kind of wants it so that Danny comes with her so that she can live up to what she told Sam. Um, and then we have Britt and Rocco. Um, Rocco comes because there's a program where you can shadow doctors at GH. And Britt says she started the program, and he's like, he wants to shadow her. But of course, we know she's about to leave town. So she's like, yeah, I can talk to Dr. Jones. He's your cousin, right? Yeah, I can talk to him, and he can probably mentor you or get someone to mentor you. And then she gets a text while she's talking to Rocco, and it tells her to get to Windermere quick before they come and get her. So she kind of like rushes him out. And when she rushes him out, she gets a text from Lucas saying that he got the meds. And she's like, okay, meet me at Pier 55. So she rushes him out and goes to Pier 55 to wait for Lucas. So Lucas comes and gives her the medicine. But little does she know that Rocco followed her. So he's around the corner watching the exchange and the conversation between Britt and Lucas. Mm. And I just hope that nothing happens to Rocco because Dante is going to lose his crap. Then we have Dante and Nathan. Nathan goes to the PCPD and he tells Dante that Cullum is sniffing around Lulu, and he was like, well, he law enforcement, is like he kind of brushes it off, but Nathan is like adamant. And I think Nathan knows something because I don't think Nathan is Nathan. But I digress. But I think Nathan knows something about Cullum, and that's why he specifically doesn't want Cullum around Lulu because he likes Lulu. So of course he's not gonna want, Cullum, if he knows that Cullum is like a bad guy or whatever. He's not going to want Cullum around Lulu. So that's why he's trying to put a bug in Dante's ear. But then Dante gets a call and it's from Cullum. And we see at the end of the episode, Dante goes to the school to see Jason, I mean, to get Jason because there's a WSB warrant for Jason, but we don't know what the warrant is for yet. Meanwhile, um, Lucas was at the hospital, and in comes Brad because he wants to implore Lucas to make sure that he comes through for Britt. Even though he was upset with Britt, he wants somebody to come through for Britt. So he's like, come through for her. And he says, yeah, I will. Which he did. He has the medicine and he did take it to her. But I don't know what's happening. And Marco may pay the price for that because he goes to work with Alexis, and Alexis is leaving for Danny's basketball game, and he's sitting doing his work, and in comes Cullum with a knife behind his back. So I don't know how severe it's going to be with Marco, but something is definitely about to happen with Marco because they were so adamant that his dad wouldn't hurt him, but his dad isn't the only one involved in this. Cullum is involved in it as well, and I think Cullum is running the show, so I don't know why he wouldn't think that Cullum would do anything to him. Then we have Christina and Jacinda, and they're at the Metro Court and they're having lunch or something. And they're talking about, you know, Olivia walking in on her and Michael, and she's willing to deal with it, because she likes Michael. And then the conversation kind of switched to Christina and her love life, and then she starts talking about Blaze, but she's like, yeah, she's pretty down on love, ain't really feeling it because none of her relationships actually pan out or go well. And Jacinda is just like, you never know, when when you least expect it, love comes in and like swoops in on you. Then we have Ned, Olivia, and Tracy having a family meeting with Michael. Basically, like I said yesterday, because Michael was caught in the gatehouse with Jacinda, and it comes out during the discussion that the problem isn't necessarily that he was caught in the gatehouse with Jacinda, is more to do that Olivia has an issue with Jacinda because of her past occupation, because she was an escort. And they all get into a fight because no one in the Quartermain family kind of has a high ground. And, Tracy's like, I told you, Michael, that you needed to treat Jacinda with respect. And he's like, you know what, you're right. And, at the end of the conversation, Michael is like, the only person that made a valid point during this whole conversation was Tracy. I should be treating Jacinda better. And so he goes to the Metro Court and he asks Jacinda if it would be disrespectful if he kissed her right there in front of everyone. And so he goes and he does it. I guess he's making, a declaration to Jacinda that she's not just a fling that he's having fun with. Then we have Tracy and Ned and Olivia back at the house, and they're all pointing fingers at one another, like, you can't talk about anything because you got this, and this. And one thing Michael said that like blew my wig off, and I'm not wearing one, but blew me off, was he was like, my grandmother was a former sex worker, so you think you better than her? And I'm like I get where he coming from, but like, let's not throw your grandma's business out there in the street, even though we all know it. Let's not throw your grandmother's business out on the in the street as a justification. It was crazy. But that was General Hospital for this week. What do you think Jason is being arrested for? Do you think that Cullum is going to pin what's about to happen to Marco on Jason?